Okay, we're going to have a little look at attachment and complex PTSD and see how they work together, which is really important to understand as we begin to evolve any early childhood wounding that we've experienced. So look at the first slide. So if we look at attachment in our lives, when we're babies, we get attached to our parents. So attachment is the relationship between infants and their primary caregivers, is responsible for shaping the success or the failure of future intimate relationships, the ability to maintain emotional balance, and the ability to enjoy being ourselves and to find satisfaction in being with others. So if we've been through abuses in childhood, then clearly we're going to have unresolved issues as we go into adulthood. And this is pretty normal for most human beings. Most of us have issues that do come from childhood, but for some of us, we've had heinous treatment, which means that we've got a lot more to deal with. And we really need to begin to understand certain things about complex PTSD in order to evolve and get to a healthier place within ourselves. And it is hard work. It's not easy, but with psychoeducation and therapy and other things that come into our lives, we can begin to evolve. So looking at codependency, I don't particularly like that word, because the reality is that we're all codependent to some degree, but there's healthy codependency, depending on how we look at this word. But codependency is in part of a learned behavioral condition in a relationship. So from this angle, it's saying where one person enables another person's addiction, poor mental health, immaturity, irresponsibility, or underachievement. So that's one way of looking at codependency. But as human beings, we tend to be dependent on each other to a varying degree because we've got to live with each other, we need each other, and there's a healthy way to go about things and an unhealthy way. And as we go through life, in partnership or in friendship, people are going through different things. So we're either going to be healthy about it or unhealthy. It goes on to say that among the core characteristics of codependency is an excessive reliance on other people for approval and a sense of identity. So that's something we need to look out for. But a lot of us grow out of that as we age. We stop looking to others for a sense of identity and for approval. And we can manage and heal this through psychoeducation. And I'm going to go to the next slide. So then if we tie this in with complex PTSD and a list of common CPTSD symptoms and emotional flashbacks, we can have a tyrannical inner and outer critic. So the inner critic is generally the parent's voice or the carer's voice that was abusive to us in childhood, that was very critical, that we then use that voice on ourselves. And the outer critic is where we could be hypervigilant. So what happens is that we, in that hypervigilance, we have, trust issues, which can be fairly understood, from some of the early mistreatment, and then it becomes the outer critic. We can also have toxic shame, where we've been shamed just for being our natural selves. We can have self-abandonment, where we abandon ourselves because we were abandoned as children, so we don't know how to meet our own needs. We can be 50-50 on that. Some of us can meet our needs in some ways and not in others. We can have social anxiety. We can have abject feelings of loneliness and abandonment, which again is, normal human condition, but, it can be over the top when we've got complex PTSD. We can have a fragile self-esteem. So again, people can have that who've not got complex PTSD. So we have to really look at our total self. We can have attachment disorder, which is pretty normal. You could different types of attachment. And we can have, don't really, again, like the word disorder, because we can use different attachment with different people. Like we can have a healthy, secure attachment with friends, and then in intimate relationships, we may feel ambivalent or anxious, and that's because of the way we were brought up. We can have developmental arrests, which I'll go on to explain what they are. We can have relationship difficulties and radical mood vacillations. We can have disassociation, hair-triggering fight-flight response. So that's where we, are very quickly triggered meaning hair triggering. It's where we're quickly triggered by a memory or something. So we have to watch out, you know, that we're not causing that by being in situations with people or abusers where we've not been able to heal or it's unhealable, and we need to remove ourselves out of situations. We can also have oversensitivity to stressful situations. That can be like, you know, for some people that could be things like doing paperwork and stuff like that. We can also have suicidal ideation, which means that we have a, you know, like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to live anymore, and stuff like that. Not that we want not to be here, it's just that we're struggling with our emotions. And then what follows is a list of some of the most common developmental arrests that occur in complex PTSD. And, you know, you may find that you experience a diminishment or absence of these key features of healthy human beings. So, you know, as we evolve, we begin to, you know, pick up on some of the better aspects and begin to self-educate. Pete Walker does say that, this is from Pete Walker's book, Pete Walker, you can see below the petewalker.com here, you can go to that webpage, Pete Walker, Pete-Walker.com, you can see the lists there also. So we can have self-acceptance. Oh, sorry, I'll go on. Typically, survivors will vary on which and how many of these arrests relate to them. Factors affecting this are your 4F type. So that's the fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Childhood abuse, neglect pattern. So we'll have a pattern of abuse, and that's we're sort of stuck in. Your innate nature and any recovery work that you may have already accomplished. So we can, you know, grow into self-acceptance, clear sense of identity, self-compassion, self-protection, a capacity to draw comfort from relationship, the ability to relax, capacity for full self-expression, and willpower and motivation, peace of mind, self-care, and a belief that life is a gift, and self-esteem and self-confidence. And then here, this can be useful to you, and you can, I'll put this below the video so that you'll be able to copy and paste this. I'll put it in the comments section, but reparenting affirmations. So this is a good way that you can talk to yourself to begin to heal the inner child and pull away from that inner critic. So I am so glad that you were born. You are a good person, and I love who you are, and I'm doing my best to always be on your side. You can come to me whenever you're feeling hurt or bad. You do not have to be perfect to get my love and protection. All of your feelings are okay with me. I am always glad to see you. It is okay for you to be angry, and I won't let you hurt yourself or others when you are. You can make mistakes. They are your teachers. You can know what you need and ask for help, and you can have your own preferences and tastes. You are a delight to my eyes. You can choose your own values. You can pick your own friends, and you don't have to like everyone. And you can sometimes feel confused and ambivalent and not know all the answers. I am very proud of you. So we want to start building a bond with our inner child. And for some of us, that's very difficult. I know that when I first started doing my own inner work, the idea of connecting with my inner child, I had a disgust and a distaste for my inner child, because, you know, my own situation of abuse started, you know, 3 or 4 years old, and I couldn't connect with that child because that child was so wounded and so hurt and so abused and abandoned that it was really hard for me to connect with that part of myself. But now I have a beautiful relationship with my inner child, and an image as well of my own beautiful inner child, as I am and as I was. The book that you want to get to begin to do the major part of this work, along with any therapy you're doing. There are hundreds of books out there, but I highly recommend this book. I'm on my second copy of it, and you can also get a copy on Audible, although it's not Pete Walker reading that. And the next thing that we can look at is that when we're really stuck in problems, for some of us, we can't afford therapy. I do help people online. I'm not a medical practitioner, but I've got certain skills, and I'm also in Evolutionary Astrologer. So I look at wounding as well from the eyes of astrology, through the eyes of astrology. And Carl Jung also did that. If you've heard that name, you can research. He was in part responsible for psychoanalysis as we know it today, along with Freud. And Carl Gustav Jung used chart work in order to, you know, help people evolve and understand themselves at a deeper level. So one thing we can ask ourselves when we're really stuck is, what is the problem and what does the solution look like? Because often we can get, you know, in the fight, flight, freeze, we can forget that we actually do have options and that there are people in this world who will help us if we ask for help. And we have to remember, finally, that we are here to bloom. And this is a beautiful picture that a friend of mine took. And it's, you know, remember that we're absolutely beautiful at a soul level, and we can evolve most of our pain or integrate it. So, you know, it's not that we end up like completely squeaky clean, healed, and, you know, we still got our memories, but we'll begin to integrate them so they're not so painful anymore. And then we meet people that, you know, understand us as well. Really important. So that's it for today. I'm leaving it there, and I'll be back in a few days with something else. Catch you later. And if you need help, check my booking page below. Thanks for watching.